So in this lesson, we are discussing the percent equation. So you're going to be taking a mathematical sentence about percent and creating a mathematical equation that you can solve. A percent is a ratio whose denominator is 100. For example, if I have 4%, I can write that as 4 over what? 100. The denominator of a percent is always 100. Okay, how would I make that a decimal? Divide the bottom into the top, or look here, I grab this and I move it twice. So it'd be 0.04. Write this in your journals. It's actually easier to go from percent to decimal than to fraction. So I'm going to show you that on the next one. If I have 25%, make that a decimal. I just move the decimal twice. I get 0.25. And then to make it a fraction, I put 25 on top. This is a percent, so what's on bottom? 100. Shh. I really need y'all quiet while I lecture. Good. Any questions on that? Okay, so let's go over the equation itself. That's not going to work. Retake. Okay, should be writing this in your journal if you didn't already do so. Okay, so this is your equation. And you can rearrange this equation by dividing and multiplying and things. But what you need to know is A is standing for part of the whole. So it's a smaller number than the total number. Okay, the whole number is represented by W. And then the percent is written by P. And you need to write that in either decimal or fraction for you to be able to do the multiplication. So you see an example here. 0.5 times 30 is 15. 0.5 is what percent? 50%. Okay, so 50% of 30 would be 15, which makes sense, right? Because half of 30 is 15. So that's what you're going to be doing this whole lesson. So let's look at example 1. Put this in your journals. It asks you what number is 24% of 50. So I'm going to write this out. What number is 24% of 50? Now let's go over this. I can translate this sentence into math. When it says what number, what should I write? How about a W? Because we don't know what number, right? We're trying to solve for that. So just put W for a variable. When I see the word is, what is that one? Equals. And then when I see 24, I change that. Well, you can just leave it for now. So I'll put 24%. When you see the word of, what does that mean? It means multiplication, absolutely. Times 50. Okay, so now in order to solve this, I just need to change the percent to either a decimal or a fraction. So I'm going to say W equals 0.24 times 50. So now what is 0.24 times 50? What do you got? 12. Very good. So any questions on how we did that? So in this case, what were we actually solving for? We were solving for W, which stands for, out of our equation, that was the part of a whole, wasn't it? Because it wanted 24% of 50, 50 being the whole number. Good. All right. Example 2. We have 9.5 is what percent of 25? Okay, so let's write this down. We have 9.5. What is? Equals. What is the what percent? What letter am I going to put for that? You could put a W, but according to our equation, they used P. Does it really matter? No, you just need a variable. But what does the of stand for? Multiply. I'm going to show you multiply with a dot this time. And then 25. Okay, so to simplify this, to write it nice and neat, 9.5 equals 25 times P, right? So I could write that as 25P. You can put the P in the front. It doesn't matter, but mathematically it makes sense. Now, how do I get the P by itself?
You divide.
You divide. Very good. Okay, so I get P equals, what's 9.5 divided by 25? It'll be a decimal in your calculator.
287.5.
Yeah, I think you did it the opposite way, Leona. Say it again, Gary.
0.38.
Yep, 0.38. You rounded 2 decimals if it was longer than that. Okay, now what are they asking us again? What? Look at percent. So what do I need to do with this last number? I need to move the decimal, right? So 1, 2 makes it 38% as my answer.
When you want to find the percent, you have to move it.
Yep, you get it to a decimal and then you move the decimal to the right twice to make your percentage. If it is a percentage, you move it to the left twice to make it a decimal.
So P equals 38%.
Correct. Good. Any questions on how we did that or why we did that or? All right, good. Example 3. So now we're rearranging again. 39 is 52% of what number? All right, so 39 is means 52% of means of means
Multiply.
jumping ahead. Yep, multiply, and then what number would be?
W.
Yeah, it can be any variable, so x would be fine, but they use w in the equation. Okay, now to actually solve this, I still need to do one more thing. What do I need to do? Not quite. I got to change something first. I got to make this a decimal. So I'm going to rewrite 39 equals 0.52 times w. Now I can solve for that w. How do I get the w by itself? Divide by 0.52. So 39 divided by 0.52 gives you what?
75.
Very good. So w equals 75. So 39 is 52% of 75. Awesome. Questions? All right, grab a piece of paper on your own. Listen. I'm not going to write these out anymore, so we're just going to create the equation by me verbally saying it, okay? Number 1, what number is 10% of 20? Let's write the equation. I do want to see you write the equation. So I'm going to say W equals 10% becomes what? What does 10% become? 0.10. Very good. Make it a decimal. 0.10 times 20. Now, can I solve that? Yes. What is 20 times 0.10? 2. Now you saw the instructions. Write and solve the equation. So you're going to get double the points here. You're going to get points for writing that equation, and you're going to get points for solving for W. You're welcome. Number 2. What number, what am I going to do that? W is 150%? Not quite. You're moving it twice, not 3 times. Okay, if you have 150%, you move it twice, it would be 1.5. 1.50 is the same thing. Shh. So 1.5 of means times 40. So what's 1.5 times 40? Very good, 60. Awesome. Okay, number 3. 3 is, so say equals, what percent? Put a P. W is fine, but P is when you're using percent. Of, so times 600. So how do I solve for P? You divide. So divide by 600. Woo! 3 divided by 600 would give you what? Should be a decimal because we're looking for percent. So 0. Try that again. 3 divided by 600. Say it again, 0.005. Okay, now how do I make that a percent? Go to the right twice. So I get 0.5%. Not confusing at all, right? Sometimes your percentages can be a decimal, but it is very important you think about how you had to move the decimal twice. Okay? Sometimes you'll have a decimal that's 1.75%. Okay? You see how this one was 150%. All right, everybody got that one? All right, number 4. 18 is what percent? P, very good, of 20. And how do I get P by itself? Divide by 20. So what is 18 divided by 20? 0.9. Make that a percent.
That's gonna be 9.
Move it twice.
0.90.
You put a 0 here, so it's 90%. Always move the decimal twice. You'll get it wrong if you just move it once. Shh. Okay, number 5. 8 is 80%. I can change to a decimal by saying 0.8, right? Of means times W, because we don't know what number. Okay, so how do I solve for W? Divide by 0.8. So 8 divided by 0.8 would be what? 10. All right, number 6. So we have 90 equals 18% in a decimal would be what? 0.18 times what number? So put times a W. To solve, this is getting repetitive. So W equals 90 divided by 0.18, which would be? Other way around. Divide the other way. 500. Yeah, 90 would be 18% of 500. All right, last example, example 4, and then we're almost done. Okay, we have a receipt. We went out to eat at the 8th Street Cafe on May 4th at 5:45. For A, we want to find the percent of sales tax on the food total. So where's the sales tax? Right here. And then for B, find the amount of a 16% tip. Okay, so first of all, to find what the percent was, we're trying to find out what percent did they charge us for sales tax. So we know the total, right? What's the total we got?
29.8.
And then we know the part of the equation. So we can say 27.5 is, we don't know the percent, times 29.15. Right? Does that make sense on how he created that equation? So now we solve for percent by divide by 29.15. So what's 2750 divided by 2915? Should get a decimal. That's not right. Did you do... Oh, it's not 27.5, you're right. My fault. 27.5 is the part. We're trying to find the tax, so this would be 1.65 here. Sorry. My bad.
So where did you get 1.6?
From the tax, the actual tax. I put in the wrong number. That's my fault. Because 1.65 would be this percent of the whole number. So, try it again. My fault. 1.65 divided by... Oh, I got both numbers wrong. Redo. I need a mulligan. This is the 27. I need more sleep. Tax number divided by the food total will give you what your percent was. I heard it. Say it again. 0.06. Okay, how do I make that a percent?
You move the decimal and round the
So I get 6%. So this restaurant charges a 6% tax. That's cheap. Texas is 8.25%. Just so you know. All right, for B. This one wants to know what tip would be 16% of the total. So 16% of 27.5. So I'm going to say 27.5 times 16%, which is this 0.16, right? Equals W. So it's 27.5 times 0.16. This is how you create. This is how you create a tip. You know that, right? This is exactly how you do it. I'll tell you the shortcut here in a minute. Okay, 4.4, but we're talking about money, so we need to say $4.40. Okay, what's a good tip? If the waiter's really good, what's considered a good tip? Do you remember what percentage? 10% is cheap.
16%?
20%. 20% is considered a good tip. 15 to 16% is like, they were all right. 10% means they weren't very good, but you do realize this is their job and they need some money. If you don't tip at all, it means they were really bad. And I have not tipped before, so don't feel bad about that if they're really bad. But the fastest way to get a decent tip, in this case, you saw how this was 6% of our bill, right? Well, if I doubled that 6%, it'd be at what? 12%, right? So a 12% tip means they're kind of average, right? So if they were okay waiter, you just double whatever the tax was, and you'll have you were an okay waiter. In Texas, it would be 16%, would be doubled because it's 8.25. So if they were average, just take whatever your tax is and double it. Okay? If they were good, it's really easy to find 10%, isn't it? In this case, a $27, what was it? I just turned the page. And 50 cents. 10% of that would be what? So if I wanted 20%, I just double that. So a 20% would be $5.40. So there's really fast ways to tip your waiters. If they were average, you just double the tax. If they were really good, you take 10% and then you double that. Bam. Now you can tell your parents, Mom, that's not a good tip. Or, Mom, that waiter was really bad. You shouldn't be tipping that much. Let's do this much. All right, number 7, last problem. Oh, what if, in example 4, find the amount of a 20% tip on the food total? We kind of just did it. So the food total was $27.50. We're going to multiply that times 20%, which would be 0.20.
That's it?
Yeah. Taking how much our food bill was, and then times by 20%. Calculator, go. Let's see if I can do it just as fast. It's going to say times 2. What'd you get? $5.50, which is what we just did, isn't it? Literally what we just did in the back. So you can, in your head, you can find 10%, and you would still get $5.50. That's it. Okay, done on your own, numbers 1 through 7. Turn that in. You need to do the practice and problem solving numbers 4 through 25.